5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go.
Okay, welcome back, and let's go to the questions. Okay.
So I'll ask the first question. So this question is from Sanjay Gupta, and the question is, what will happen in the next round of the Fresh Connection? And do participants with negative ROI have to generate higher profits as compared to participants in round one having positive ROI?
Yeah, so in the next round, you are going to start with your previous ROI, but this is not going to affect your future performance in the company. So let's say that it's like a fresh round. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to affect at all. So you can improve a lot your ROI. It's not going to affect. Yeah.
Yep, so each round is individual and you can make choices, and the choices you make this round will not be based on choices last round.
Yeah.
And we want to really enunciate that you should be focusing on learning here, developing and improving your score each round. So even if you're not the top person, just try to develop and learn. We're not grading you on this. This is for you to learn. So take advantage of that and grow as much as you can.
Yes, one more thing. Round 2 is going to be open for 2 weeks, so you have more time to play with the game and to try different decisions. The level of difficulty is going to be exactly the same as in round 1. That means that you are allowed to make exactly the same decisions that the decisions you make in round 1. So same level of difficulty. Same number of decisions, 2 weeks to play the game. So, and just focus on learning. I'm with Connor. The most important thing here is to focus on learning. In terms of the performance is based on the ROI. So when we say your performance is 3%, that means that the new ROI of the company is now 3%. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Yes. Okay, so the next question is from Ranjit, and the question is that he missed the first deadline for the game and wants to know what will happen in the second round.
So no problem at all. You can join now. Indeed, the second round is now open, and you are going to start as if you didn't make any decision in round 1. So you are going to start with a minus 3.96% of return of investment in the company, and from this point you are allowed to make the decisions of level 1 of difficulty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Excellent. What else? I have here one question for you, Connor. Kikitos. So Kikitos said, is it possible to determine the labor or transport cost, for example, to make the optimization?
Okay.
This is a good question,
This is a really good question. Okay. So in the Fresh Connection, it's a little bit hidden. So depending on what you're looking to do, you really have to search around. So we'll start with the labor costs. If you want to go to the Info Center, and that's at the top right of your screen in the Fresh Connection, go to the Info Center and start looking through there. On the different machines, they'll have labor cost. In the warehouse, they'll explain what the labor costs are. Remember, those are on 6-month intervals. So if they say 40,000 for the year, it's actually only 20,000 for the next 6 months. As far as transportation cost, that's in a little bit of a different area. You want to go to your Agreements tab in your Suppliers. So in the Suppliers tab, you want to go to the Agreements part of your Suppliers tab. And in that, there's a little I right next to the supplier. So for example, if your pack supplier is Mono Packaging Materials, there's a little I next to that. If you click that, a black dialog box will pop up. In that black dialog box, there's going to be different information about that supplier. For example, Mono Packaging Materials charges $100 per shipment, and so that's a fixed cost. Every time you initiate a shipment, you pay $100. And then at the same time, the transportation cost per pallet or drum or IBC container is $20, or 20 euros in this case. Mm-hmm. So in the game, there's places that you can find this information. You can do this for each supplier if you go through the supplier market, and then you can calculate some optimal value based on the strategy that you set.
Yeah, just to remind you that in the purchasing area, if you go to the supplier report, you have a column, a field that is transportation cost. And also I want to remind you that the purchasing costs already include the transportation cost. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have different ways to see this information. And the labor, go to the Info Center. You know that this is our Google in the Fresh Connection, and it's the best place to find this kind of information. So this is a very good point, Kikitos. Great. Okay, so let's go to question 4, this one.
That's an interesting question. Okay, so the question is, how many people created models to set their variables, and how many people were just guessing?
Yeah, I would say that based on the feedback that we already received with for the CTAs and some of the students for the first round, since this was only open for 1 week, people just focus on guessing. I expect that now in this second round that you are going to have 2 weeks, most of you are going more to focus on calculations. This is in general based on the feedback that we have received. Certainly some of you make some calculations in this first round, but I expect more calculations in the second round from your side.
Yeah, so you guys should be setting up your spreadsheets and then really making those calculations and then verifying that everything works with what we've learned in previous classes. So if you've learned about service levels, make sure you're incorporating that, pulling what numbers you can and making that happen to match what supply chain strategy you're going for. Okay, next question.
Okay, next question. Let's see. Shiles. So Shiles said, how much thought process shall we make especially on calculation in generally read email? I don't understand this.
Read the emails.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes, the communication that you receive from the company. Yes. So yeah, again, the question is about how many calculations do you think they need to do during the second round? What do you think, Carla?
I would encourage you guys to make as many calculations as you can, really build out your models and understand as much as you can about the game. That'll help you make the most informed decisions. A lot of it's based on how much time you have.
Yes, and my recommendation is you have learned a lot of tools and techniques in previous courses. So I think that the good thing of the first connection is this is going to allow you to use this previous concept that you have learned in SC1x, SC0x, SC2x. So I really encourage you to apply this concept and these tools that you already learned in our SCX courses in the game. So yes, I think this might help with the results.
Yeah, so for example, with graded assignment 1 or graded assignment 2 in week 1. Yeah, in week 1, the graded assignment was very much focused on the fresh connection. Those are just a few of the ways to do math that's involved in the game. The game is very complex, and there's a lot of different things that you can calculate. So really, it's as far as you want to go.
Okay, one question about, is there a spreadsheet with all the data? I guess, Frederick, you mean with all the results that we have. We can definitely share with you the PPT. Yeah, that we have prepared for the debrief, that at the end we have there the analysis of the data. Yeah.
And if you're looking at for all the data in the game, you can do a data download, and there's a tab in each category. So in supply chain and sales, there's a tab, and it's by the reports, and there's a little analysis button you can click on. In that, you can download the Excel sheet. So you can click download all data to Excel. Now, that's not everything that happens in the game. That's just all of the data that's recorded about you. So
Great. So very good question here. Jake Haber. So they said this is the result of one of the discussion in one of the breakout room. They said, a common strategy used by people in our breakout room was placing a priority on serving the supermarket customer. But despite this focus, many of you incur in penalties from this customer. So, however, it feels that the players that build a more resilient supply chain strategy will reward more than those players that just attempt and focus on efficiency. So, is a resilience approach rewarded more favorably than an efficient approach? This is a very good question.
That's a good question.
I would say this is like one of the main learnings of this game. So as we show you with the 3 best players, they follow different strategies. From my point of view, it's not about which strategy is the best, it's how well you align all of your decisions with your supply chain strategy. What do you think, Connor?
yeah, so for example, one of the top 3 players actually built a very resilient supply chain, and then one of them built a very efficient supply chain. And so there was kind of a mixed focus, and then one of the players kind of had an in-between area. And so depending on what you want to focus on, it's just aligning everything together, just like you said.
Yeah, I think to align your decisions with your supply chain is the most important thing in this game.
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
What is the forecast? Oh, Odesoki. Hi, Odesoki. What is the forecast? What is the demand? What is the production run? What is the... Everything is in the game. Which one is the question? Not the Odesoki.
The second one is good.
The second one, let's see.
Yes.
Okay, so then in terms of, what you have for the Odesoki is all the reports that are going to help you to build your forecast model or to understand better the demand. You have reports in each area of the company, so you can go to the sales area, to the operations area, and download the reports. And then, for instance, in the sales area, you have all of the reports about the demand. All of the relevant information about the demand. You have also some charts that are going to help you with this forecast. Anything else?
So as you click through each one of your different types or your categories, so supply chain, sales, that's very important that you can look at those different charts. And so down in there's a little tab in operations, for example, there's like a little warehousing area, and you can click on the different, what are those things called? Those little analysis.
Where? In the report?
In the report. So like
the different charts
the report
that they
section?
have?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the report section.
Report area, yes.
Yeah, and that's where you're going to want to find that information. So there's a lot of information there, just like Eva said.
Yes. If you recall it, you have the dashboard, then you have the report area and the decision area on the right side. So yes, the report you will find on the left side of the game. There is one very good question from Odesoki. What is the best ROI you have ever gotten during the game?
Okay.
It's a very good question, yes. So this depends on the, let's say, the number of decisions you are allowed to take and the level of difficulty of the game. So based on the number of decisions we are allowing in round one, we can say that something around 7% of ROI.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, so I think somewhere in the 7% is where we'll start seeing people really top out. So we've got some players that are already really close to where we'd expect them to be topping out. As far as in the international competition, we had more decisions. It was a slightly different game setup. Some teams were pushing the high 30% range. So it's different game, a different setup, but it's definitely something that's achievable under the right circumstances.
Yeah, I would say that this is totally related with the number of decisions that you can make during the round. Yeah, good question. One question for Connor. What was your final ROI when you competed internationally?
Okay, that's a good question.
It's a very good one.
Yeah, this is a good one. So when we were in the international competition, it was a group of students from the MIT Zaragoza program. And so we were competing versus a group, all the groups in Europe. And so we were really focused on beating those groups, and that would move us onto the global final. And so a lot of our competition focused on just beating those people. And so I think our ended up ROI was somewhere in the 24% range, 25% range. And then the team that actually had the highest ROI was also in Europe. So they went on to the global final and left us in the dust.
Great, excellent. Okay, so this is I think this is a very interesting question that shows the importance of the trade-offs in this game. Matthew said, my results are giving me conflicting information. In operations, it is saying to increase availability of components because it's causing production adherence issues. But in supply chain, my component stock levels are very good. With one component even saying it's too high. So yeah, this is a very good example, Matthew, of the trade-offs that are behind every single decision that you need to make during the game. In addition to that, you need also to take into consideration that the decision that you make in one area of the company might impact other areas of the company. So this is something that I would say that the first connection is all about these trade-offs. Each decision is going to have an impact in this and other areas of the company. So this is something that definitely happens. Yeah, I'm with him. I agree with him. This implication that he's mentioned is something that is happening not only to you, it's going to happen to everyone, because it's this connection between operations and production. Anything you want to add here?
I think that's very well put. Yeah, I'm right on board with you there.
Okay.
One more coming. I won't even put question in front of it. It's just there.
Okay, let's go for one final question.
Okay, so I'll ask this one. In any of the future rounds, will we have to make provisions for storing water? So far, we have been told that water is not stored and it's used directly.
Okay, so when I explained the production process, I mentioned that water is a very important part of the production process. But what is true is that we don't
store water.
We don't store water. We don't have no.
If you think about it from a realistic perspective, you have pipes that come into your factory from the local municipal water source. So you never really need to store that water. It wouldn't make sense for you to pump it out of your faucet into a bin unless you thought for some reason that it might get shut off at some point. But in this company, water is going to continue to flow. You're in a stable economy, stable area. So.
And the municipal government is the supplier for water. So no more information about water storage in the company. Okay. Any last question?
Does the price the customer is willing to pay also come up with an increase in demand from the customer, or does it reduce it?
Okay, so the question is, it's about demand and the way that we do pricing. And as far as I've seen in the game, the way that the pricing happens doesn't really affect demand. There's minor implications. For the most part, the way that you price and the way the service levels you give, that affects the price you get, but it doesn't affect the demand that you get. So the flow through will be very similar no matter what price you're charging. It's just they pay more for service or they pay more for shelf life.
Yeah, I agree. You have the contract index, and the contract index at the end, what is reflecting is the service of level that you are offering to your customers. So I think the focus should be more on the service of level on customer side. Okay, let's stop here. Thank you so much, Connor. It was a great discussion. I hope you enjoyed the Hangout. The round 2 is already open. You have 2 weeks to play round 2. We also released yesterday the Proctor test for week 3. As you know, Verify the Student. This is only for Verify the Student, but this week you must take this Proctor test. So best of luck. Please go and read carefully the instructions that are just before the starting with the Proctor test in week 3. Best of luck. You are doing great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.